Hi and welcome back to Nick's Wood-Fired Oven Cooking Experience. Today we're making pizza bases, and the quantity of ingredients that I have here will make us 3 very large sized pizzas, around about 38 to 45 centimeters in diameter, or you can make 4 30 centimeter diameter pizzas. We need to use a special 00 flour, which is not a very strong flour in taste and smell, but it's quite fine and great for pizzas and for pasta. We will need 500 ml of warm carbonated water, which I've split into 2 parts. We also need to have 800 grams of flour. In one bowl we'll need 200 grams, and the other bowl needs 600 grams. We need 7 grams of yeast and 7 grams of caster sugar, 10 grams of good olive oil, and 7 grams of good sea salt. So to start, we're going to combine the 250 ml of water into the bowl, which is carbonated. The yeast and sugar goes in there as well, and also the 200 grams of flour goes in there. Okay, so I'll stir that through, and we'll let that sit for at least 20 minutes. So it starts. So that's our starter to our base. And once that starts fermenting and starts bubbling away, we're going to add in the salt, the olive oil, and the rest of the flour, and then we'll mix it through with the mixer. All right. So we have the starter section already mixed through, so it's quite a doughy mixture, a little bit wet, but I'll cover that now with some clear cling wrap and let that sit for 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Well, we're at the 5-minute mark of our starter fermenting away there, and you see it's coming along quite nicely. You can see the bubbles in there that the yeast is creating while it's consuming the flour and the water and the sugar. That's why I like using carbonated water instead of normal plain hard water. The bubbling process is partially already there, and hopefully it'll give us a nice lighter pizza base than having that thick dense bread-like base. Okay, so we're at the 10-minute mark now, and that looks quite good. So it's quite warm today, so I think the heat in the air has probably helped the process along slightly quicker as well. As I removed that clear cling wrap, you can smell the yeast and the flour combination come through, and it actually smells quite nice. So now I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients in there. So I'll add the dry ingredients first, which is the 600 grams of flour, and I'll also add the oil, so that's the dry ingredients, the good olive oil, and the salt. So I've placed the bowl into the mixer. I'm just going to turn it on very slowly for now, just to incorporate the ingredients with the starter dough mixture that's there. Then I'll add the rest of the water. So once that's mixed through, I'll add the water in there, just to allow the whole of the starter to get mixed in well with the dry flour and the olive oil and the salt. So at this stage now, I'll add the balance of our water. So I haven't got the bowl guard on it at the moment. Probably a good idea if I did. So I'll let that mix through, probably for about 6 to 10 minutes, depending. Well, it looks nice and smooth and elasticity. So it's very key so you get that elastic look and your dough is quite smooth. Well, that's about 3 minutes now. As you can see, the dough's really come along really well. Taking all the dry ingredients off the edge of the bowl, which is a good sign that the gluten structure in the dough mix has combined. So another 4 or 5 minutes, to about a 10-minute mark, and then we'll take it out. Okay, so I've done with the mixing of the dough. So you can see it's quite elastic and you can just pull it. If you take it all off, it should just come off as one piece. So, okay, so I'll take that out for the moment and I'll put it on my clean bench, just like that. A bit more left in there. And so the bowl's relatively quite clean, and so is the hook. So let's take them all up. So what we're going to do now is that we're just going to give a bit of a knead, nice little stretch to it. Not for long, just for about a minute or so. Use the palm of your hand, just try and stretch it as much as you can. You stretch it, you can see the stretch marks there coming through, so only a little bit. So I think that's fine. Trying to do it with one hand is always a bit harder. Form into a ball, just like that. And we'll get some olive oil, which will only put a dab of olive oil in there, not much at all really, just to stop the bowl from wanting to stick to the dough. So I'll put that in there and I'll cover that for about 2 to 3 hours until it rises about two times the size. So it should really come to the edge of the bowl when it's finished rising. And then we'll break it up into our sections for our pizza bases. Well, 1 hour's passed. As you can see, it's risen considerably. As I mentioned before, today's quite a warm day, even though inside's quite cool, but I think the humidity in the air and so forth is helping it come along in its proofing stage. So I'll recover that another hour, let it keep rising slightly more to the rim of the bowl, and then we'll cut it up. Well, it's been 2.5 hours now, and that's pretty much risen to the point. So I'm just going to punch the air out of that. See, it's shrunken quite a bit. I'm going to pull that out now and just knead it a little bit. So I've taken it out of the bowl, just put on some parchment paper there. I'm going to weigh that now and see what we end up with. I'm making 3 large pizzas, so I've got my nephews and nieces coming over tomorrow, and there's a few of them. I'll put about 5 all up with my kids, and they all like your typical margarita and meat lovers, and probably another one there, ham and pineapple. So that's all they tend to like these days, the kids. So I'll make 3 large ones and I'll measure that up. As you can see, I've got 1.26 kilos there. So I'll divide that into 420 grams each one, and they are quite large pieces of dough. So for the pizzas, if you do 4, they'll be at 300 grams each for smaller size pizzas if you wanted to. Okay, so I've divided into 3 now. It will take a few grams here and there, doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put in some flour just to stop it from sort of sticking to the cloth towel that's going to cover it. I'm going to use mine tomorrow, so because they're coming over tomorrow. You can use these straight away, probably another hour or so, and let them rise one more time. And then what you got to do then is just roll them flat for your pizza bases, and that'll be our next part of the video. So I've got my pizzas there, my bases ready to go. Get more flour on that. I'm going to cover it with some cling wrap, put it in the fridge overnight. I tend to find that it's probably nicer after a day or so in the fridge. They ferment and get a more mature flavour. I've had them 3 days later, which is even better again, because the dough really has a nice sort of tense taste to it. So preference to taste. As I said, you can use these in an hour or so time. They will rise again, and then you just roll them flat for your trays. As I said, I'm using one tomorrow, so I'll wrap them up. I'll go from there. So there they are wrapped up. You can put them in the fridge for 3 days, and once you put them there, you take them out, let them sit for another 2 hours so they can cool down, and you'll find they will rise slightly more. They will rise in the fridge a little bit. At this stage you can freeze them if you wanted to. If you find that you can make 2 or 3, put them in the freezer and pull them out, let them defrost, and then again sort of come back down to room temperature, and they will come back to life again. Yeast is quite resilient in that sort of way, and enjoy them. So thanks for that, and when I pull them out I'll fire up the oven and I'll throw one in there and show you in the next video. Okay, so it's been 24 hours since I put the pizza dough bases into the fridge, and as you can see they have grown in size, probably about half time bigger than what they were. So I let these sort of cool down to about room temperature for a couple of hours, and they will rise slightly more. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to sprinkle some semolina on there, and I'm going to cover it with a damp, sort of moist cloth, not a wet cloth. So it's going to be quite damp. This is just a calico type one. Just going to cover it with that, and oh, the markings on just ash. So let's see how we go. Okay, so they've cooled down. It's been about an hour and a half since I took them out of the fridge. You can see now they're quite fluffy and airy. So when I will roll my base for the pizza, I'll punch that air out and roll it flat. So when we put it back in the oven, it should really rise up to be a nice thin airy crust. So I've taken one of the bases now, and I'm just turning around, and I'll just roll that into a nice flat surface. So I've rolled that flat. Now you're going to put down the tomato sauce and whatever topping you like. And I've already thrown one in there. That's a garlic and cheese one. As you can see, it's puffed up beautifully there, and it's quite light and airy crust. So that's basically the crust. You can see it's quite airy. It rises again in the oven after we've rolled it. It's nice and light. And there's our margarita in there. So I'll just videotape that for a little bit. You can watch it rise. And there's our margarita. They only take 3 or 4 minutes the most in the oven. If I put that under there, you'll see the base is beautifully done as well. So it's not, the oven's at a perfect temperature. Lots of meat lovers in there cooking always, so they're the 3 pizzas. Thank you for joining me once again, and I'll see you in the next one.